Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new program that we have going on today. And it's not so new because we already had a few sessions with Ben OKOH. And that's what we'll be back with now. But we're going to be having a whole new playlist, a whole new platform that is going to be presenting this 2 times a month. We'll be coming to talk about the mind and methods of DSA. So it's going to be the anchor for this program is Ben OKOH. So he's going to be the one in charge. He's there in the UK, and from the UK he's going to be throwing his artilleries and the bombs across the borders to reach me here for me to be able to try to answer some or all of his questions as the case may be. So let me introduce you to the anchor for this program, Mr. Ben OKOH. How are you, Ben?
Hello, very fine, sir. I'm very well.
How is the UK?
We're doing well. We're doing well.
Well, I'm at your mercy today.
Okay. Yes, we are really under God's mercy. The last time we had an interview was really insightful. I learned a lot, and learned a lot from the questions the speaking with you. There's so much that I learned, and I'm hoping that this time we can also do a lot of learning and understanding, because our topic is we're looking at the life of a pioneer. And I was looking at it and saying, as a pioneer, I want to know. I know you have done a lot of things that have been very successful, and you've been a pioneer.
So I don't know what's wrong with the. Somebody is trying to call you, I think. Can you come again? Mention come again with the last phrase. I didn't hear the last sentence.
Yes. I was saying that the last when we had the last program, that was very beneficial, and it's just following on that idea of some of the things that you've achieved. I wanted to explore the life of a pioneer, because you have uniquely been able to pioneer a lot of things. So being able to pioneer a lot of things as in so many aspects, different aspects, in politics, in ministry, in finance. There's just so many areas like that. And so I wanted to know more. Yeah, I just want to ask, and so we can actually learn to know more about that.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. That's great. I think the first thing I'd put down is that for a pioneer, my idea for a pioneer is someone who starts, who does what no one has done, or who goes ahead and does things in ways that hasn't been done before. And I checked on a dictionary. I had a dictionary. I wrote it down, and this was what it said. First, it says to develop or be the first to use or apply a new method, area of knowledge, or activity. And as I looked, I read this and looked at these definitions. There was a second definition, and I don't want to read that first, but I'll just start with this one, which it says the verb is, and then it explains this. And how complete is this definition to you for a pioneer?
How complete?
Yes. Is that what you accept as what a pioneer is?
No, that's not what I accept as what a pioneer is. That's just an aspect of what a pioneer is. That's just a part of it. But it cannot be the full meaning of what a pioneer is.
So what's the full meaning to you, sir?
A pioneer to me is more of somebody who is a pace setter, somebody who goes before others, someone who goes far and sees farther than the other people. It's a pioneer is a man and a person of insight and foresight. He's able to see what other people have not seen and be able to go farther or ahead of other people. So in that sense, I would not say, or you could say, a pioneer is also somebody who that begins something that nobody else has done. So, but it's not just using new methods, like you said in your definition. Using new method also could be included in that, but it's mainly somebody that has done something that most people or nobody else has done. So I would not say I'm a pioneer. in that sense. You know, but if you use the second the definition, which is the first, if I'm going to use your definition, which is the one you read out now, yeah, you could say I'm a pioneer. I'm a pioneer. But if we use my definition of a pioneer, I don't think there is something that I'm doing that has not been done before.
Oh, so therefore, do we have any pioneers?
Oh yes, we might not be seeing them in today's church or in today's world because of, especially in the church world, because of the mediocre nature of our people, our church people, and because a lot of people in the church world have been distracted by the god of Mammon, and they are more focused on pursuing egocentric purposes rather than the larger concept of God's kingdom, God's mindset. So maybe you might not be seeing a lot of those people today, but if you look into the history of the church, you will see that there are a lot of people who have done what Sunday Elijah is doing. They might not be using the same method or the same tactics, but people who have done similar things to what I'm doing. And so that's why I say I would not be a pioneer in that sense. Maybe because of the people who live today who don't know, or who are not so much familiar with history, especially with the history of the church, to them it might look like I'm a pioneer. But really, not too much of a pioneer.
That's very interesting. Because how about when you say, well, I guess I understand that idea. If you say you are, for example, we take one, I'm just using an example. If we say, you are one of the first black, Africans to lead the largest churches in Europe, or literally in the world, isn't that a pioneering activity?
Yes, it is. But if you look into history, maybe you will find a black person who has done that before. I don't know, but it will be more accurate to say that in that case, because if you are talking about an African that has led a big church in Europe, then I would not be the first one, because I'm sure there have been, like there was Matthew Ashimolowo and people like that. But if you are talking about leading a majorly Caucasian population of Europe, then that might be more accurate.
But you don't appear to want to take that as enough to define you as a whole person, as a pioneer.
Yeah, because I'm just afraid that, for example, I was thinking, I know, for example, in the US that about 150, 20 years ago, let's say about 100 years ago, somewhere in Texas, there was a black man, who was set free from slavery, who managed to pastor a 99% white church, like myself. And they had about 1,000 people there. So if you have never read about someone like that, you could have said, oh, DSA is the first person to pastor in the whole world, or in history, is the first one to pastor 100% Caucasian church. But then when you read into history, you could run into some other information that will, just deny and cancel that your affirmation.
That's interesting. So, in which case, therefore,
it's more accurate to say that we know of.
That we know of.
Yes.
Okay. So, do you have any pioneers that you consider that you have, thought to be, that you aspire, that you admire?
No, I never thought in terms of pioneers.
Okay.
I'm thinking in terms of just being the best in what I do. I'm always thinking in terms of doing something that will be so well done that there will be nobody who has done it before me, in my time, before me, or even in the near future. I just want to do the work so well, such a quality job, that everybody will be able to know that this guy has done such a great job we have never seen anything like this before.
But isn't that what makes pioneers? Because I've read quite a lot of, some books on, people who've done, pioneering things. You look at Henry Ford, or, with what he did with with cars, and how he, increased using industrialization, really made cars, available for a lot of people. Steve Jobs, people who invented or reinvented technology. So some parts were there. I think we consider these people pioneers. And does it mean, I don't know if it's possible for people to have a desire to want to be a pioneer as a goal. Do you think that's a valid thing to have, to say you want to be the first to do something?
Yeah, I never really thought in that sense. I just want to be I just want to do what I am called to do, or what I feel like doing, to do the best I could do there. I just want to give my own best. So much that I know my conscience testifies to me that I've done better than, I've given my best to it. Not even better than other people, not even comparing to other people, but just to do my best. And I know if I do my best, it will be very difficult to find any other person that will come close. So, but in terms of being a pioneer, it's not always, sometimes even the time you are born doesn't allow you to be a pioneer, because there have been people who have lived before you. And for you to be a pioneer, you need to really go almost into a new sphere of life. And I know a lot of people don't want to be a pioneer, because if you talk in terms of a pioneer, even what I'm doing right now is more like a pioneer, in the sense that not too many people in our generation are doing what I'm doing. So, but pioneers are the ones who become the icebreakers. And if you are going to be an icebreaker, you are going to have a lot of growth in your head, a lot of lumps, a lot of lumps in your forehead. Because if you are breaking the ice, you are going to be the one to clear the road for other people. And so most people don't want to be a pioneer. They would rather follow after somebody else has cleared the road for them. So in case of coming to Europe to start a white church, for example, and to have 99% white church, not too many people would like to be the first one to do that. They would like to just rather learn from people who have done it before. And the same thing, if you want to talk about businesses and raising up successful people, business people, like millionaires, you want to learn. It's just easier to follow the steps of people. For example, coming to Europe to start this church, to go to another culture, not going to England, not going to English-speaking country, not going to America, but coming to Russia, and during the time of Iron Curtain, when there was communism. Those are too daring and too risky, too hazardous adventures. So, for example, I try to regain my Yoruba language, because that's one of the casualties. So, for example, for me to have done that, that means I had to forget I didn't have to forget my Yoruba language, but that is the natural consequence. By the time I mastered the Russian language, what I discovered is that the next time I wanted to speak to my mother doesn't speak English, or they didn't speak English. So the next time I wanted to speak to my mother, I discovered that it was Russian language coming out. So the other day, when I was trying to revamp my Yoruba language, and we released it on YouTube, there was a guy that came after me very strongly. He's a Yoruba man himself. He said, this guy, Sunday Adelaja, is so stupid. He's just trying to do a show and trying to pretend. He's just pretending. How could he have forgotten his native language? I mean, he left Nigeria at 19. He didn't know I left at 19. He was saying I left at 20-something. But I left at 19. So he was saying he left Nigeria at something, but he was speaking Yoruba all his life. So is he just trying to make a show? He's just trying to show stupidity? But he was also referring to himself that he has been in the UK for about the same period of time, for 30 years. He didn't know that I've been here for 33 years from the age of 19. But anyway, he was saying he and his wife have been in Europe for 30 years, in England, and they didn't forget Yoruba language. So what rubbish is he saying? Is he trying to just make a show and do, well, it's just stupid. It is just stupidity. I mean, he should just come to his senses. Well, you see, when people don't know what you have been through, he's been in the UK, just living regular life, just walking. He doesn't even have an idea of what it means to live in a culture where you don't speak their language and they don't speak yours, where you have to learn their language. In fact, it's a miracle that I still speak English, because I've not spoken, I don't have a reason to speak English here for 30 years. And I don't even have any reason to, I didn't even have any way or opportunity to practice the English, talk less of Yoruba. And it didn't even take me 30 years before I forgot it. I'd forgotten it after 10 years or 15 years or so. So when I discovered that, because I needed to learn the language and adopt the culture and adopt the language as well. So to be able to be good in the language, to speak and teach and preach every day, day in, day out, that is what knocked off the Yoruba language from my mind, from my head. And this person was thinking that I was just throwing some show out there. He didn't know this is real. This is the kind of thing you sacrifice, and the kind of sacrifice you have to go through when you are a pioneer. If you look at the book, there's a book that is called God's Generals. God's Generals. So if you look at that book, you will see that all those people who are also having pioneering spirits and pioneering ministries, they had to sacrifice a lot of things. They have to sacrifice a lot of things. Some of them had to in fact, if you look at those their lives, a lot of them had to sacrifice their children. Not intentionally, but those are just the casualties of the battles they were fighting. So their children died. Some of them, their spouses died. Some of them died young themselves, because they've not had the experience to navigate that kind of new path that they were going into. So a lot of them were, they suffered a lot of losses. So that is what happens to pioneers. Pioneers have to chart new courses, new way that other people have never been through before. So they come out wounded and shattered and broken sometimes, even though they also come out with their victories and triumphs. Wow.
And the cost. So although you do not describe yourself as a pioneer, but you know that being trying to be the best, being a pioneer might be a side effect. Is that, can I say that?
Yes.
It might be a side effect of just trying to be your best.
Yes.
And did you put the cost? How aware were you of this cost that was in front of you? The cost of what you were going to do. For example, if we take your journey, at what point did you realize that you were now beginning to want to be the best? Let's start, because you've not accepted, that title as a pioneer. But when you decided you were on this journey to being the best, at what point did you really recognize that you were doing it? Is it a conscious decision you decided, okay, I want to start being like that? Or at a point you made, or you just realized that you were doing it as you were going on with your normal way of working? How did that happen?
Yeah, first of all, you started out by asking a certain question. Let me start with that as well. Yeah. That, pioneers, just like achievers, I could say I'm an achiever, or maybe a pioneer in some things. But pioneers, just like achievers, they don't count the cost, because you started out by asking about that. So they don't count the cost in the beginning. They might begin to realize the cost, because if you are a pioneer, if you are a pioneer, then it means that you are doing something that nobody has done. So you couldn't count the cost, because you don't even know how much it's going to cost you.
It's going to cost.
Yeah, because nobody has gone through that way. Nobody has, experimented it. You don't have the inventory of what you are trying to do. So it is as you go, you'll begin to realize the cost of what you are doing. So, but even in their nature, if you are a pioneer, most pioneers, they are mostly focused on the goal. on the target, that on the goal that they are pursuing. So these kind of people are people that are, you could say, addicted to the purpose, to the goal, to the target that they have set before themselves. So they have a target, they have a goal, and they don't, they are not distracted by anything else going on beside them, beside or around them. So now to answer your second question, which is, did I intentionally decide to become an achiever or
Yes, let's use that word,
a
achiever.
pioneer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, oh yes, I ought to be the best. So
Yeah.
I intentionally decided to be the best, and I know the day. I know
Oh.
the day and the time. I know the process of it. Because I was growing up in a village in Idomila, which is Ogun State, Nigeria. My grandmother just died, and my grandmother was the one I was living with. I didn't know my father. My mother, I got to know her, but she was married to another person in another state. So I was just living with my grandmother. And then my grandmother died when I was 16. And she was the only reason why all my uncles and, aunts were coming to the village to see their mother. And their mother was dead now, so there was no reason really why they should be coming to the village anymore. But I was still there. But one of my sisters was taking care of my mother and myself, she came down and said, hey, if you don't pass your exams and get admission to leave this village, you will be lost in this village. You'll be wasted in this village. And she was talking to me that, but if you do well, if you could read and study, and get some distinctions in your school leaving certificate, WAEC we call it in Nigeria, that you could get the opportunity to get scholarship to study overseas. So that I needed to study hard. And so that day I was saying, well, I'm not so smart anyway. And that I'm not even an average student. I was not an average student, at least that time. I was not an average student. And she told me, she just opened a Bible and showed me in the Bible. And that time, I didn't really know the Bible because I was not really born again yet. So she showed me in the Bible a scripture in Deuteronomy 28, verse 13, that says you'll be the head and not the tail. You'll be the first and not the last. And all that. So when I saw that, I said, oh no, this is for the Jews. This is written about the Israel. It's talking about Israel. And he said, well, look at verse 1. It said, whosoever, if you will diligently, whosoever will observe the words of this book. So he said, whosoever, does that mean Jews? What does whosoever means? If what does that mean? I said, whosoever means anyone, including you, yes. Okay, good. So it means that you could be the head, not just the Jews. I was saying, oh, but it's for the Europeans. He said, well, did he say Europeans here? I said, no, he just said whosoever. So whosoever includes you. So that's how she convinced me that even me, this passage pertains to myself too. That if you will be diligent enough to follow the instructions. So I got diligence. If I will be diligent enough to do what I need to do, I could be the head and not the tail. So it just entered into me from there that, oh, if I am diligent, then God will help me. That is the time I took a decision. Then she told me another one in Psalm 119, that you will be so good, you will even know more than your teachers. You will know more than your teachers. And I said, wow, so I could know more than my teachers? If I will only work hard, that did it for me. So I started to work very hard and study. Because first of all, I had an ulterior motive there. I didn't want to remain in that village. Because she said, if you don't pass your exam, you will remain in this village. You'll become a farmer like all these other old people here. And you'll be rotting here. I said, hey, Shineke, no, God forbid. And I started to work really hard. I only had 1 year before finishing high school at this point. But I worked so hard, that 1 year was enough. So I became the best student from that university, from that college, from the secondary school. Only one other guy had one more credit. He was taking more subjects. But I did so well. And I became the only one who got a scholarship. So that made me to know that, hey, so geniuses are not, before this time, I used to think that those other guys who are the top guys in our class, that they were geniuses, that God gave them brain, and they were brilliant from their mother's womb. But then when this happened and I did better than them, I discovered that, wow, so you mean geniuses are not born? I just discovered, I got a revelation from there that hard work is the womb of genius. Hard work is the womb of a genius, of genius, that give birth to genius. So I discovered that, yes, I can become anything through hard work. So that was the first time I tried that, to discover that, oh, hard work can really work for me. Then the second one was what they call JAMB in Nigeria. That is where it's, admission exams to universities. And, that is 400. You only have to get, the maximum mark is 400. And I was, getting 300 and something. I became the third best student that was admitted to that department in the University of Ife, Obafemi Awolowo University now. So I discovered that, hey, even though I was not number one, but I've seen so many people failing the JAMB, to discover that that was good enough. And to be admitted as the third best student in that University of Ife, and it used to be a prominent university at that point. I knew that, yes, it means that this thing works. If I will work hard enough, I could actually be the best everywhere. So that was when, and then it happened that I got a scholarship as well. So when I came to Ukraine, to Russia, I knew that I needed to fight it out with students from 99 countries, 99 other countries of the world. And then I became the best, not immediately, but eventually I became the best in the university. Then I discovered that, oh, this thing works. So it just cemented. But the first decision was made during the talk with my sister and the scripture that she gave me. And then all my life experiences have affirmed that. So that's one of the reasons when I go to England, to the UK or to America, I am a bit vexed in my spirit that I see black people like me everywhere. Because in Nigeria, I know that I struggled to be able to pass my WAEC, school living certificate, and people did better than me. So and most of them are in the UK now. So how could these people who did better than me in school, and now in the UK they are just working, they are just going to job, they are just having a job. They are not the best in the UK. But if I come to the UK today, I'm not going to negotiate it. I don't want to negotiate with anybody. I'm going to be better than everyone else. Either they are from Oxford or what's the name of the other university you have there?
Cambridge.
Cambridge, yeah. Cambridge or whatever. I'm going to be better than everybody. That's my position. And not just about students. I don't believe that I will be in any country for 1 year or 2 years and the whole country is not knowing about me. For me, that is a disgrace and an embarrassment. What am I doing there? So if I am in any culture or any sphere of life, I must dominate. That is just my lifestyle now. So when I go to UK and America, and it doesn't even seem that our people are here. And I say these people that used to do better than me in WAEC, in JAMB, in all these other cases, what are they doing now? No, but now it's just today that I just thought about it that, hey, maybe they don't have the same mindset. Thank you for asking me the question. So it's not just about being brilliant, but the mindset is also important. So with my own mindset, I'm just going to be the head everywhere. I don't care even if it is not what I studied, or even if I studied it, I don't care where. I'm just going to be the head. It's not because I think I'm special, but I think I got the key. Just work hard and then have the right mindset. So if I've been in the UK, for example, and I'm a citizen, I see myself in the parliament. If I am not in the parliament personally, I see my disciples in that parliament. If anybody is getting whatever, something EBA or what do you call it, British order, whatever, order of
Yeah.
the British order or whatever you call it,
Yes.
I'm going to be one of those people getting that one. And everybody, the BBC, even when I'm here in Ukraine, BBC is talking about me and coming here with their crew to do reportage about myself. And whereas there are people living there in the UK, they are not even doing anything not worth to cause the BBC to come to their house. But BBC is paying tickets, air ticket for like 6 people and coming to just take interview from me. And and not just BBC TV, but BBC radio as well, Reuters and Associated Press and CNN, all kind of people looking for me. German television, French television, Netherlands television, while I'm here in the Ukraine where I don't even speak their language. But the impact is so much that they couldn't neglect me. United Nations had to look for me. United Nations Congress had to call on me. Senate had to call on me. Even though I'm in Ukraine. That's what I'm talking about. But when I go to America as well, I'm not even talking about Nigerians who are there. When I look at even black Americans who are born there, it's like no show. Everybody just busy working like slaves to Uncle Sam. My own mindset will not allow that to happen anymore. I was going to America for 6 months. In 6 months, I was already speaking to the Congress. In 1 year, I was in the Senate. In 1 year, I was in the United Nations, and I was not even living there. I don't even reason any other way. Same thing in business with money. I cannot imagine it that some people I don't even do business. I'm not even a businessman, right? I'm just a pastor. But then when I decided to study the loss of money, in 9 months, I made my first $1 million. So it's easy because of the mindset God had made me to have, thanks to that talk with my sister.
But you said the mindset that God made you to have. But God is also for those people. What exactly is this mindset? Because I want to explore the mindset.
I just told you.
Okay.
My sister sat me down.
But a lot of people have that sort of.
And I argued with her that I don't have a chance. I'm not a white man. I'm not a Jew. I'm not a European. I even told her I'm not sure that God himself is aware that this Idomila is alive, that this Idomila exists. And he talk less of, I was not even sure God knew I was anywhere under the sun. But she showed me that scripture that if I would be diligent enough to observe. So I knew I got the key. If I would be diligent enough to do anything I'm doing, which is, for me, diligence is like hard work as well. If I would be diligent enough to observe in everything that I do, he said, you will be the head and not the tail. That's a law. For me, it became a word of life. It became a reality. It became, it became a word that is alive. That word got possession of me. I was possessed by that word. I was 18 years old or 17 years old when she told me this. No, 18. From 18 years till now, is still a driving force in my life. If I would be diligent enough, I will be the head and not the tail. First and not last. And I've seen it worked out. That is the mindset, I think. So that has helped me, apart from just working hard. Because you could work hard, but you must have the belief.
So you were convinced?
Yes. You could be brilliant, but you must also have that mindset that my diligence, my hard work will only make me to be first. But you could be brilliant and not even think of being first. Because when I come to UK, for example, people are telling me all kinds of stories. They are saying, oh, there is discrimination here. Oh, they will just see your name Adelaja and they know you are not you are not
Yeah.
real British. Even if
Yeah.
you have passport, you will not
Yeah.
make it. Let me tell you, even what they call it, Blair, what they call it, Blair, Tony Blair was writing me here while he was their prime minister over there. Gordon, what do you call him?
Gordon Brown.
Gordon Brown. We were sitting on the same panel with him. Livingston, the former mayor. I don't even
Yeah.
live there. They know my name is Adelaja, and still that couldn't stop me and them being on the same table. Hey, don't tell me those stories. If you are good enough in what you are doing, your color, your name can never be a hindrance anymore.
Okay.
I will be so good. I will be so good that when their citizens are doing, let's say, 1 point, I will be doing 10 points. When they are doing 10 points, I'm doing 100 points or 1,000 points. My ratio is going to be so overwhelming, I will not be neglected. That's why I'm friendly with Professor, what do you call him? Chris Imafidon, yes. Because he has proved it not just through his own hard work, but through his children and through his students. So he's having so much consistent results that the UK cannot neglect him. The Queen cannot neglect him. I live in Ukraine now, and I have students in the UK who have been invited by the Queen, who are becoming councillors in the UK just because they listen to me. And I'm not even there. They just need to listen to me and follow the instructions that I give.
So you're saying anybody?
Yes.
Now, anybody including...
That's what my sister convinced me of. Whosoever. I was arguing with her that God is not even aware of Idomila. He's not. He shouldn't be aware that we are here. How could he be aware we are suffering so much? This is only for white men. She said, okay, read that thing again. I read it again. He said, whosoever will diligently. Anyone. If you will do it, will be diligent enough. Oh. So, no white man there? No. If you, anyone. Even from Idomila, yes. No Jew there? No. If you.
Wow. So you got convinced by that, and that is just the foundation of everything that we see now.
No, maybe in that direction, in the direction of, being an achiever. And being the best, yes. There might be other factors in other direction, but this is where it all started from.
Wow. I think you raised that point of, being, I think, there's something, the mindset which we talked about, the cost, that's what brought us to this discussion in terms of, you said, you don't count the cost. Is that part of being diligent? Is that your idea of diligence? That,
yes, if you are diligent and you are to be the first, because you are not just being diligent to be a manager. You are not just being diligent to do the work somebody gave you. But if the purpose of your diligence, in my own case, the purpose of my being diligent is to be the first. And the purpose of my being diligent is to be the head. So if the purpose of your being diligent is to be first and the head, then you are addicted to that goal. That is your trajectory right there. Trajectory.
So you are, can we say that you are your goals?
No, I am not my goals.
Okay.
I am not my goals, definitely. I submit myself and subject myself to my goals. I make myself a slave to the goals. For example, after I got this, my immediate goal that time was to get out of that village. And the tool to get out of the village was that I passed my exams. And so my goal was to do well and pass that WAEC. So that was my goal. So I had to subject myself to that goal and become a slave of that goal. So which means myself, I used to play around. I had friends in this village that I was going to play with normally. But because I had a goal now, I had to quench my own desires, what I wanted to do by myself. So I'm not my goal. My goal is bigger than me. So I had to make myself a slave of my goal, which means I have to do what I didn't want to do. For example, I had never read for more than 1 hour before then. But then I started reading 6 hours. So I will read till 2 o'clock in the morning, till 3 o'clock in the morning. Every day I was hiding from my friends. I had to sacrifice myself, sacrifice my friends, sacrifice my desires, my affections. I needed to be diligent, and that diligent demanded that I sacrifice my desires, wishes, and everything has to submit to the goal. So if you are not living a life like that, that makes your goal to be so superior to everything else, even to yourself, then you can never dream of being the first.
Oh.
Because you are too compromised. You are already compromised. Because yourself, you will be willing to do something other than what your goal is. Sometimes you want to sleep. Sometimes you want to go and play with your friends. Sometimes you want to say, I'm tired. You want to pity yourself. But when the goal is supreme, you become a slave to that goal. So I am not my goal. My goal is bigger than me. If you are not living for a goal that is bigger than you, you have not started to live at all.
Okay.
Your goal, you must always be living every day for something that is bigger than you. That is where you get your motivation from. That is where you get the addiction from, the obsession from. But if your goal is not bigger than you, then you will be manipulating the goal. Oh, I'm tired today, I will do it tomorrow. Oh, well, I don't feel like I'm making now. Well, you will be in charge, you will be the king. But you've got to make the goal the king. And you are the slave. You must always live for something bigger than you. If you are not living for anything for something bigger than you, you will be in charge. And you being in charge means you are going to be sentimental. You are going to be, you are going to be sensitive. You are going to be doing things according to your, the goal is not supreme. If you don't live for something bigger than you, you can never leave a mark in the sand of history. For you to be great at all, you've got to live for something greater than you. That means that even when you are done and when you are finished, that thing is still alive that you are living for. But if your goal is not bigger than you, when you die, the goal dies too. Even if you don't die, the goal dies because you want to preserve yourself. Self-preservation will kill the goal because you will have to be choosing between yourself and the goal. So if the thing you always want to preserve yourself if you are the number one. Then so to preserve yourself, you kill the goal. But if the goal is bigger than you, then to preserve the goal, you die. That is what Jesus did. The goal was bigger than him. To preserve the goal, he had to die. And also for the goal to live when he is dead, he had to make the goal bigger than himself. That is how we live forever. That is how we live a memory. And that is how we leave our footprint at the stand of history.
Wow. So this relates to this service because you've been doing the series on service. Is this service? Does this link to this idea of service? Because you're saying that, you should think about serving God rather than serving yourself. Is that what it is?
No, service, when I talk about service every day, I've been doing this series every day for the past 1 month. And this series is just talking about the meaning of life. But what we are talking with you right now is about, results, being an achiever, being the best, being a pioneer. That's what we are talking about right now. But what I'm talking about in that series on service and stewardship is the whole essence of life. So that means, for example, when I was doing my diligence, working hard in my village to pass my exams and being able to get out of that village, that was not service. That was service to myself. That was still driven by my own desire. But but after I've done that and I've passed the exams and I've become something in life, that was my obligation to pass the exam, to go to school. Those were obligations. But service now is, what do I do with that? What do I do for that with my life? So I must always know that whatsoever I do must end up, or the undertoning motivation must be that I want to serve God and man. So service, that is the reason we do, the ultimate reason for life. So what I'm doing right now is service. What I've been doing all these years is service. But it's not always service that, for example, when I wanted to make my first million, I first of all wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. But then, after on, I have to also think, what do I do with it? So what do I do with it, or what I use it for? We have to then be service. So that's why, after I learned the lesson on how to be a millionaire, I started a project to produce or to train other people on how to become millionaires. So that's how we're able to produce in 3 years 200 millionaires in US dollars, because that is now service. So for example, when I come on here on air to do this live broadcast twice a day or thrice a day sometimes, what is that? For me, that is just service, the essence of life. Service, stewardship. I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting offering or membership or anything. Your service.
So there is a distinction between that service and this achievement in terms of how you're going for it. I understand it. I feel like sort of understand what you've explained, but I just probably just because I guess there are lots of other people who are following and listening to you, and this because you've sort of put a separation between this service in terms of this sense of having a service, which is that duty that you should have to humanity for God and the kingdom. How could you separate this sense of first being achiever, kingdom, and service, the three of them together? Is it something that, being achiever is just something?
Say that again?
No, so is it the sense that being an achiever or being an achiever is that, that personal, starting from that story that you started with, and that's what drives you to do what you do?
Not at that point. Yes, that was driving me because that was all I knew. Today I know better. Today I know better that the whole essence of life is to seek God, to seek the will of God, to pass the kingdom of God. So if I would do it again, I would know that I would understand that, okay, I needed to study well and be the best. Why I want to be the best is that I want to be the best so that I will be able to glorify Him, so that I will be able to create a platform whereby I could serve Him and serve men. So when I'm talking about service and stewardship now is from a superior position of what I've come to know at 50 rather than what I knew at 19.
Okay.
Service should be the reason for everything. Why do I want to become a millionaire? Because I want to have that money and use it to serve. Why do I want to become a billionaire? I want to subdue the earth so that I will use it to serve the purposes of God and the good of man. Why do I want to become anything? So that I will be able to please God and serve men.
So if there was a 19-year-old person who was listening to this, Um, would you therefore say that it's probably better that they hear this new after you've had the experience of life and you've come to this, serving man, serving God? Would you say that is that what will move them to doing what they need to do? Or because I feel like, sometimes people need, just as you had that crude need to get out of that village, there are people who are in that sort of state where they just need to meet today's need. So they're not really thinking about something big or thinking about anything. They just need to just improve where they are right now. Would you therefore suggest that maybe probably they then take a hint from your 19-year-old self? Or would you still say that they should still try and incorporate what you're saying? Or are they stages? Do you go through the stages? Do they have to go through the stages from that 19-year-old to where you are first? Or how should they follow?
Whatever is pinching, wherever is pinching you, as a African adage, whatever is pinching you, that is where you scratch.
Yeah, I've heard that.
You feel something is pinching you, scratch that place. So when when a 19-year-old person like myself, or even 50-year-old, is in desperate need of something, he might not even be hearing all of that explanations we have about the meaning of life until he really sees and senses that his pressing needs are being addressed. That is not the best way of going about things. It would have been better for him to know the ultimate way of life, which is, to live for the kingdom and to live for God. But right now, because of his needs, he might not even be able to listen to what we are saying until we address that need. So, it is just human. We should also just try to be more understanding to people like that. So definitely, there is a place for life situations when your pressing need right now demands that is your motivation. Just like it was with me. My own motivation that time was my environment, my life situation. But that is not the best. If I want to know better, then I would want to find out, okay, what about if there are no life needs? Just like people who go to church in Nigeria just because they want to escape armed robbers and they don't want to have accidents, and so they are praying because they want electricity to work, and they want, just praying for every little need they have every day. So if that is the reason why you believe in God and why you go to church, what happens when you come to UK, to Europe, to America, when you don't really need to pay for electricity to work, and you don't need to pray not to have accident when you leave home. You don't even need to pray for anything as such, of such. So what happens? Then it means you are not motivated to serve God. But it will be better for the person to know that apart from the pressing needs, there is a greater motivation you must have other than the things that are pressing you now. Because when you live on that level of your pressing need, you are actually being stimulated. So you are living on the level of stimulation. You are living at the level of stimuli, which is what is designated for the animals. It is animals that are supposed to be led and driven by stimuli or stimulation. So, but we too have it because we have body, physical body, and we operate in material world and with its laws. So that we have it too, just for preservation. But it is not what we are supposed to live by. We are supposed to live by understanding, because we are Homo sapiens. So, but that's what the difference is. So when we are talking about service and stewardship, that is living knowingly, in awareness, with understanding. But a lot of people are living by stimulus and by stimuli because things are pressing them, and they are just responding to those things. They are living by instinct. That is the animal level of life. There are three levels of life people can live. The lowest level of life is the animal level of life, when you live by stimuli and instincts. And then there's the second level of life, when you live by thinking, reasoning. And the third level of life, when you live by intuition, by spirit guidance, by the leading of the spirit, when you live by the will of God, when you want to find out the will of God in heaven, so that you cause it to come to pass on the earth. So yeah, there are those three levels of life. But most people, they are just on the level of the animal level, the instinct level.
Wow, that's so quite insightful. I think I really got a better understanding. Thank you for those answers. We actually think, I think a number of us think that, your achievements, and we see you, I like to use your word, as being an achiever, that we think it's quite awesome. It's something that no one's done anywhere, and you continue to raise ordinary people to be that sort of way as well.
No, when you say by achievements that nobody has done, what are you really referring to? Because I'm sure I myself might not even know what concretely you are talking about. Even though I know some of the things that I've done, but I don't know what you have in mind.
There are too many. In terms of, okay, I would say, let's take, for example, being able to have the political influence to have as many people in parliament, in the Ukrainian parliament.
Okay, that's one. So we were able to put 34%, of the parliament of Kiev, 34% in the parliament but that's not for the Ukraine. That's for the city of Kiev. But for Ukraine, we had just a fraction of senators. So that also is a big one too. But also we are able to put our governor, our mayor of this capital city. Yeah. So that is one thing. Okay.
200 millionaires, raising them from people who are mostly ex-drug addicts, or or not. I don't know if it's mostly, but a lot of people, from ordinary people, to raise them as millionaires. I thought that is pretty. There are not many places that could, people that could say that. In terms of
that's number two. Yep.
Yes, that being able to do that,
and to do that in 3 years as well, and then to do it for 200 people. Yeah. Okay, that's number two. Yeah.
Yep, I'll say the amount of knowledge and the amount of books you write and the amount of things that you actually, bring out all the time. I think that's a, achievement in different languages.
What do you mean languages?
In terms of the fact that you have in Ukrainian and even in English, you are doing literally the same thing in terms of, publishing books and coming out with so much material in of that quality and that quantity. Okay. I think it's quite significant.
Right. So about 500 books for now. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think to have even survived, going through the Orange Revolution. Let's say Orange Revolution
itself.
That's already a big deal. Yeah. Surviving it is already a big deal. Mm-hmm. To be, probably noted. I mean, in Russia and in other large in terms of the communists, and to have as much how much friction they had with you and still come out of that. I think
well, I cannot go into Russia right now because I'm a personal enemy to Putin, but Vladimir Putin, he made me a persona non grata.
So he knows you, so he knows your name, he knows your personality.
Definitely.
To me, that's already that's such a thing that there are not too many people of that sort of to make that sort of achievement in that sort of place. But it just interested me to know what you thought of your own capacity, because I think, wow, this looks like so big. And when you're challenging us about what we're doing in London and so on, I feel, oh my, I feel challenged and inspired. But I wonder, what are your thoughts about your own capacity in terms of what you are able to do and what may have been achieved?
No, that question you have to
break it into bits.
Yeah, you've got to clarify it in the sense that are you talking about what I thought about my capacity before I started out? Or at what stage of capacity? At what stage are you talking about? Or are you talking about my capacity, how I look at it now? Or what is it?
Okay, so that means that there were different ways you thought about things. The way you think about the things you've done now is possibly different from the way you looked at it during the time. So probably I'll start with what did you think of your capacity while you were carrying out those things? For example, say Orange Revolution.
I was thinking the communists would come out and crush me with their tanks.
Wow.
And so, because I didn't want them to do that, I needed God's help. So I was thinking they are going to arrest me and send me to jail, or something is going to happen, something bad is going to happen to me. So because I didn't want that to happen, I needed God's help. So before the Orange Revolution, I first of all locked myself in a room for 7 days, not eating, not only drinking water, and very minimal amount of water. I'm praying for 14 hours every day, just because I knew that I needed to do something. I wanted to really get a word that what I needed to do. So after I got the word that I was supposed to take people to the street and paralyze the whole movement, transportation, just paralyze the whole economic life of the city. Then it dawned on, after I came back home to my wife, to my family, it dawned on me what are the legal consequences of what I was doing. And this is not Africa, this is Europe, and this is communism, no democracy, no democratic, nobody's going to question them. And they were just coming out of communism. So then the awe and the fear gripped me. So I came back home on Sunday. I told my wife the next day, which was Monday, I said, Princess, I'm going back. What happened? I said, I'm afraid, because I've already announced what I needed to do. So I went for another 7 days, 14 days, not eating, not fasting. Not eating, not doing anything, just drinking a little bit of, I was praying until I had very good assurance from God of what will happen, how it will happen, and how I should operate. So, I'm not a Superman. I'm just an ordinary man. So what did I think of my capacity? I felt that I didn't have capacity, but I knew that I had God that had all the capacity. So I was always relying on him to, I was always making sure I hide behind God before I call for the fight. So I will always make sure that I've hidden myself before I throw the stone.
Okay. And what do you think about it now? Looking back in terms of your capacity overall after coming out of it, or still in the process of coming out?
That is on one hand the God factor,
Yeah.
what I just said now.
God factor.
But
Okay.
on the other hand, I also needed to be strategic. So before you could take people out, first of all, I needed to have an amount of influence. So at this point, when I wanted to do this, I couldn't do it before our church was 25,000 people. I couldn't do it. When we were having just maybe 1,000 people, those ideas never came to my mind. Even if they came, I knew I was not ready yet. So I took my time to build a structure and to build a system, a structure that cannot easily be crushed. I had built a reputation and a name for myself that if the government or any force tried to destroy me, they will be dealing with too much more than myself. They will be dealing with much more than I someday. Because I've been able to build, first of all, a church of 20,000 people, 25,000 people. I've been able to have senators and put them in the parliament. I've been able to have very influential people in the country on my side who are members of our church. I've been able to also, have a lot of capacity in terms of influence, in terms of contact, connection. So I've done my own work very well.
So that's what made that possible.
Well, that didn't make it possible because anything could still happen. But I think what made it possible was the ultimate factor which is the God factor that I mentioned.
Wow.
So I
Yeah.
would not
So
advise you alone to go to the street of London and be challenging the British Empire or the British establishment when you have not built a backup system for yourself. So, for example, for you to be able to come out and say, I challenge the British Empire, the British establishment, people will ask, who are you? So, take your time, go ahead and build some reputation for yourself, build a platform, build a system, get some credibility, get some, accomplishments. Let people know that you are not a mean fellow. But then, after you have done that, that is what you needed to do from your own side. So, but my own philosophy is that you have to do your own side before you could ask God to do his own side. So after you have done all you could do from your own side, then you could have the audacity to now call on God to come and do what you couldn't do, what only God can do.
wow. How do you know when you've done everything on your own side?
Because you've done, you have to be sincere with yourself, just sincerity and truthfulness. You've got to
Yeah.
know that you've done everything that is humanly possible. Just be sincere with yourself. Don't tell yourself lie.
Yeah, it's very difficult for some people. And I would just say, especially, if you've come from really, you've had a church background and so on, where the idea is, you say things of what you could do. I think that idea of being very truthful to where you are, or that's really knowing exactly what your capacity is not a very easy thing, to say, okay, I think I've done my best here. Because I don't know. How
Well,
do you.
what I do is I compare
Yeah.
myself to unbelievers.
Okay.
So what would an unbeliever would have done? I see what politicians do. I see what billionaires do. I see the way the media people do. I see people put things in place. But that is without God. So have I done what they would have done? That is a simple way of gauging it. Then
Okay.
after that, as a bonus, I still have God on my side.
So then you do a lot of reading in terms of read,
Yes.
find out about it.
Yes.
Are there steps?
No, I don't think there are steps,
No.
just self-development.
Self-development. Read until you're enlightened enough
Yes.
to be able to step out into that arena or that area you're trying to make an impact on.
Yes, and faith is a substance. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. So what are your substance? What are the substance you are producing? If you are hoping for something to happen or to do anything, where are the proofs? Where are the substance you are producing? Faith that is not faith. It is illusion if you don't have substance. And then the evidence of things hoped for. So you must be producing proofs and that point to where you are hoping to go.
Okay. And would you say, because you said in Russia, after you come out, you threw the stones, then you had to, you got really afraid of stuff. When you're taking on your latest project or that you've started and you're taking on the people, would you consider that of the same sort of nature of difficulty or
You are
big?
talking about calling out people like calling names and bringing reformation to the Nigerian and African church?
Yes, I know that that's the first step. So I think my view is that what you do with the church is one part of a
Yes.
whole thing you want to do for a nation. So I'm really looking at it from the whole nation part of it rather than
Yes.
just the church part of it.
Yes.
Because you said earlier that you have to think of doing something bigger than yourself.
Yes.
So you're taking on the Nigerian project because
Yes.
it's probably more complex and more complicated and with a larger population with probably more deprivation and undereducation, and there's so many negatives there. Do you feel it's the same sort of level or even greater level? What would you say of the challenge that presents with that goal?
Yes, so it's good that you mentioned what I said, that I've got to live for something bigger than myself to even feel that I'm alive.
Yeah.
And also, like it is Martin Luther King Jr. that said, if you don't have something that you are ready to die for, then you don't deserve to live. You don't have what to live for. So in my own case, the Nigerian project, first of all, is not my own challenge or my own personal preference. I was not thinking of going back to Africa ever anymore, talk less of Nigeria. I was thinking, I'm doing well in Europe, I'm doing well in this country. I'm like an iconic figure in this country. So why do I want to live that? But I've been taught to never get attached to what I own or what belongs to me. So I know that, I should be ready to leave at any time. So when God then challenged me to go back to my home country, Nigeria, and that everything I've achieved here in this country is only a training, like a school, and that my field, my battlefield is Africa. So I know that is a challenge that is bigger than me. It is a goal that is bigger than me. So when I'm planning to go to Nigeria now, and I started to challenge the church, because I know all reformation will have to start with the church, within the spirit, with the spiritual realm and the spirit people. And when I talk about all these things that are wrong in the church, challenging those things, people tend to think that I'm coming to do a church. And it's because I want to come and build a church. That is why I'm doing what I'm doing, so that people will follow me. They don't know that that is not a goal that is bigger than me, coming to build a church. That is no more bigger than me. I've already done that. That's too small a goal for me. If I am to leave everything I'm doing in Ukraine and in Europe to go to Nigeria, it has to be much more bigger than everything I've ever done before. It has to be a challenge that is bigger than just even having people in parliament or speaking that is much more bigger than everything I've done. So the challenge of going to Nigeria for me is not even connected to Nigerian church. Only because I know the principle that the judgments must start from the house of God. So I must start from the spirit realm. So that's why I had to do that. But my own challenge, the real challenge where I'm going to Nigeria, I want to bring about a new Nigeria. I want to bring about a total transformation of the whole country. I'm not talking about spirit only. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking even about rebuilding the country afresh. I mean, and this thing I'm talking about is like anybody that's just hearing me now will just say, I'm just a crazy guy. This guy has lost it. I mean, he's just a fantasy guy. I mean, what is he talking about? Building a whole country all over again? Well, we are too far from one another in our thinking, I guess. I know who I am. I know where I'm coming from. I know what I'm capable, what I can do, and what by God's grace I've done, and what by God's grace I can do. So I know what I'm saying. You don't know what I'm saying. Please just keep quiet and just observe. And when you observe enough, one day you'll be able to see. So yeah, it's a challenge that I am excited about. That yes, so this is not just about. So what are the principles I use here? Is it hiding behind God before throwing a stone? Definitely. Yeah. In this case, it's easy because God himself spoke to me to leave and go to Nigeria. So that is God speaking to me. So that's a good thing. Secondly, so that already is like hiding behind him. Secondly, he has also given me understanding and wisdom on how to encounter the challenges that I'm going to face there. So all those ideas coming from God, they give you comfort and they give you the assurance that are needed. So those are kind of hiding behind God before throwing the stones. And God is also getting me prepared by holding me down here all this while he's getting me ready before he releases me. Because he wants to make sure that I'm ready and that people are ready to have me too.
Wow. And is the call, in terms of what you have to go out to do, does it have to always, is the need the call? Do you always have to be going towards, in this case, like Nigeria's case, you appear to have been told specifically what to go for. But therefore, what happened in Ukraine, as you sort of differentiated, it appears that you made that decision
No,
in terms
no,
of?
I didn't make the
Oh,
decision. It's also,
okay.
I never, that's one of my main secrets. I don't just do things without checking out with the Father because I didn't send myself. I have to always find out that I always have to make sure that he doesn't have to speak to me, but he has, he's at least maybe he instigates me, or you know, it makes me to see. Because sometimes you don't really have to hear God speak to you. Sometimes it's enough for you to just have a burden for a certain thing, or have to see, to notice certain things. So is the need enough? Not all,
Yeah.
no, well, I will say it like this. There are different needs in this world. So the needs themselves are not enough for you to go after them. But after, let's say there are 10 needs. Which one in particular troubles your heart or appeals to your soul? Which one are you burdened about? There are 10 of them. Maybe you are burdened about 5 of them. But so those are the ones you are supposed. That is a God's way of leading you to that particular one. So that is still following God's instruction, either through your inner intuition or through you even noticing that a lot of problems in this world, a lot of them, we don't even notice them. But why is it that you have to notice this particular one? That might be God telling you to deal with that one too.
I see. So what is your way of checking? Is it just what you've explained now? Is that what you would way to check if there's a need that comes in and you feel, this is something that you are interested, other people do not have interest, meaning interest being the guide? Or is it specifically because you've also mentioned now that, you don't always have to wait to, and some people are already running with that in terms of they make out decisions, they go out to do things, and they don't ask, they don't
Yes,
seek God.
you need to check out if you really have a burden or concern for that thing. You see the need, you feel concern for it. Beautiful. That is God's inner leading for you. Secondly, you also want to check, what is my motive of doing this thing? Am I doing this for my own good or for my own gain? If you are able to navigate around that and be able to settle that you are not doing it for yourself, it's actually at your own cost. That is a good one. So you don't have ulterior motive. That's very important. So once you have checked out that second stage, then the next thing you want to check out is that what good is this going to do for man in general, for other people, for men, for human being? Is it good for people? This thing I want to do. That is also a good one. Then finally, you also want to check, is it good for God? How is it going to glorify God? So once you know that this is going to glorify God, this is good for God, this is good for people, I don't have any ulterior motive that I want to gain from it, and then my heart is leading me in that direction, that's what you need.
To go out and to go forward.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
You also
So
need to follow your heart at every step of the way. Is it now that you have to go? You might feel like, no, I'm not ready yet. So just follow your heart and get yourself ready to do what. But if you say, okay, I'm ready, I feel I'm ready right now, quite ready. And then you look in the natural, what are the points that makes me to be ready? And then you see that all the dots are, dotted, then you can follow it. But you say that, no, I'm not ready, even though I know God is leading me to do this, but you see that all your eyes are not dotted. It will be foolish for you to go ahead to go and do that. So make sure that is when you want to just follow, your logic, your mind, and your logic, and
yes. So that will mean that checking the I's being dotted, you mean check with what the best of people would have done in preparation for that thing you're trying to do.
Not only
Because
that, maybe,
you
for
said that
example,
earlier.
you want to go back to Africa. Have you made a provision for your family? Are your children taken care of? If you go, are your children going to be able to pay for their school fees, education? Is your wife going to be in need? Will she be able to go with you? You need just natural stuff.
You have to think through everything.
Yeah.
Wow. It's quite interesting. This, this life, it looks like you explain this sense of being able to achieve or being an achiever as something everybody can do. Where does creative, some people are creatives and some people tend to have a more managerial, administrative sort of people. Some people are reflective just by personality. Do you think probably this is something for the more creative? Or what are your views on how that personality types or, what people are, to this sense of being an achiever? Is it just blank, doesn't matter, what type of person you are or what your tendencies are? Or it's just something that is open, available, provided your mindset is right, as you've said?
I don't see any conflict in the two.
Oh.
Being an achiever and being the best and the first and pioneer doesn't conflict in my mind to your personality type. So if you are more of a manager, not a go-getter, not a visionary, go ahead and be a manager, but be the best manager in town. If you feel that you are an assistant, you are just called to support other people's vision, that's your own calling, that's where you feel more comfortable. Go ahead and be the best in that area. If you feel that you are called just to be the sweeper and the guide and the janitor, go ahead and be the best. It's just like some people coming out and saying, well, I don't think we all have the same gifts. You might have been given 5 talents, and if I'm only given 1 talent, I cannot compete with you, I cannot compare with you. Well, you don't need to compare with me if I have 5, but at least you've got 1. Maximize the 1 that you have.
It's really about having the mindset of being the best in whatever you do.
Now you are using the mindset, the word I was using. That is the mindset. Now you got it.
Sometimes it's quite. I know mindset. It's just I have a book somewhere over here about mindsets and positive mindset. How much is mindset really important to a foundational to this achiever's life in terms of being that sort of person? How much is the mindset?
That's the whole thing we've been talking about. I cannot overemphasize it.
Wow. Okay. But I have one question I wanted to ask. I want to ask, since, from all your achievements or things you achieved, what achievement stands out to be the most significant to you?
No, possibly is that of coming to Europe, to a foreign culture, and being able to subdue the land and the nation and impose God on the society.
And why is that most significant for you?
Because it touched lives. I can see the lives of people who are being changed every day.
So the lives of
people, and I can see a nation that is transformed, and the knowledge of God that has spread like across the land, like water covers the sea.
So does that come from a sense of you feeling that you're helping to fulfill scripture? Or does that come from a sense of the people are being touched?
No, the question that you asked
is
just because of the question that you asked. So for me, what is more important are the results. So I just needed to look at the results. So for now, that is what I think is the most significant at the result, even from God's perspective, from eternal perspective.
From you, because you've raised people, apart from yourself, making successes, you've also raised people, who've done the same. What is the biggest misconception about achievement as we're talking now? that you've experienced or that you've seen?
Oh
The biggest
yeah, the
misconception.
biggest maybe this is, you tell me if I got your question right or not. If not, you
Yeah.
correct me.
All right.
I think in my own case, I used to hear people say it is because he's in Eastern Europe. That is why he's been able to do what he did. Well, then tell me other people who have been able to do it because they are in Eastern Europe. Am I the only human being there or the only Nigerian, the only person in Eastern Europe? Why don't you come then and do it? Because you are not in Eastern Europe. Come on. Why don't you come and learn the language? But they don't talk about that. They don't talk about the difficulties. They said, oh, it's because those people never knew about God. And so the first person that showed up to talk about God, everybody just came to his church. Ooh, wow.
I've heard that, I think.
Have you ever heard of tortured for Christ? Tortured for Christ is talking about these people. They knew God during communism and they were dying for God. And, and I was not the first one. Even those days, there were people preaching about God. So, those kind of misconceptions, everybody is always thinking that it is easier where they are not. So if you go to England, people will say it is difficult there, but it's easier in Africa. If you go to Africa, they will say it is difficult there, it is easier in Europe. If you go to America, if you go to England, they will say, oh, America is easier. If you go to America, they will say, oh, in Africa it's easier. It's always easier where you are not. But it's never easier where you are. Those are just misconceptions.
And why do you think that is? Why is it always easier where you're not?
Because it's easier to give excuse. When you are always saying it is easier where you are not because you have not been there. Because when you get there, then it will be more difficult. Because if you are in England, you say, oh, it is more difficult here. It's easier in America. But once we get to America, then it is too difficult in America. Then it's now easier in England. It's because you are not there. It's just because people want to escape responsibility and give excuses.
So I can infer that, from the whole interview, I infer that you take no excuses at all. You don't even necessarily, the cost is not even important.
Excuses are only a pointer to what must be resolved.
Oh.
So for me, excuses are good. Not as why something cannot be done, but as reasons for ingenuity. Excuses are arguments for me to come up with ideas that are henceforth not been found by other people. So excuses are extra motivation for me.
So do we say that?
Rather than what people use it for. People use it for as excuses as the reason not to do something. For me, excuses are reasons to even do what had never been done before.
Which is being a pioneer.
Well, it could be. If need be, yes.
So if we pay attention to excuses, the common excuses.
I like excuses, any excuses, because they are a reason for me to be ingenious, to be original, to be creative, and to be able to do something new that nobody has done. So, for example, if somebody will tell me there are armed robbery, why do you go back to Africa? There is insecurity there. Well, that poses for me a new challenge of coming out with a creative solution to the problem of armed robbery and insecurity that people have never thought about. So I've already spoke about this many times, that I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a crusade, not a crusade, sorry. I'm going to do a public announcement, sign a contract with the Minister of Interior and the police, And I'm going to call all the armed robbers and the bandits to come for a meeting with me with guarantee that they will not be touched. And we'll go to fill a stadium up. And I'm going to tell them, hey, you guys, let's have a meeting. Let's talk. I'm not going to condemn them. I'm going to welcome them with arms open. So, and then some people say, what about Boko Haram and the Muslims in the north? I mean, how do you plan to do with the Muslims in the north? They are fanatics. They want to Islamize Nigeria. It's a good idea. I'm going to have a meeting with them. I'm going to ask for them to give me a list of their needs. Maybe, do you want me to build you a mosque? I will build them a mosque. Do you want me to build you a hospital? Let's have a hospital for you. So any challenge people come up with as an excuse for why Nigeria will not work, I always embrace those challenges and those excuses, and I go ahead and work on them to come up with an ingenious idea of resolving that thing where everybody is thinking nothing can be done. I come up with solutions that will, rather help me to be creative and bring out results and answers that I had not thought about yesterday. So it's a way of me discovering myself, to be able to push myself, dig deeper to myself, and be able to do what I didn't even think I could do. So these things are, challenges for me that make me to become more innovative. That's why I write new books every day. Not every day, every week. Because I see a new problem every day and I push myself to discover an answer for it.
Or a new excuse.
A new excuse, yes. I see a new excuse every day, and that pushes me until I discover a new solution for it.
Wow. And you say you have to dig deeper in yourself.
Yes.
Does it mean that you feel like all the answers to all the problems are already in you?
Not necessarily in me. It might not be in me. But I could push myself to go and find it where it is.
Okay.
So digging deeper doesn't mean it's already inside of me. Digging deeper means working harder, searching harder, researching harder.
Okay. So finding out. So every problem or every excuse, I like this new word now, because every excuse has light that answers that particular excuse.
Oh, definitely.
So what you do is need to search for it.
Yes, I just don't know. It's an excuse to me because I don't have the answer. It's not because the answer doesn't exist. So if I will push myself enough and do my studies enough and do my due diligence and do my research enough and work hard enough, God is going to help me. I'm going to discover where the answer is hidden.
And do you find that a lot of the things you have already, if you keep pushing into this way, do you find that solutions you've had in the past make connections with other ones? Is there a mixing? Do you find that things
that is why experience is good. I have a lot of the things that a lot of solutions I'm profiling for Nigerian problem because of the experience I already had. But also, I discovered that I shouldn't rely on the experience I had. That's why I wrote that book, Hello, I'm Searching for Problems. I'm always in search of problems. Because the more challenges and excuses that I found like that, the more motivation I get to go and dig deeper to discover the solution for them. So I have a whole book on this. Please help me. Hello? Where are problems? I'm looking for problems. I'm looking for problems. Get me more problems of Nigeria. Get me more of them. I need more problems. Everybody is thinking they are coming with this excuse and say, oh, this will stop him now. But I'm saying, get me more. Bring them on. More. I need more of those.
Wow. Looking for problems.
You've not read that book?
I haven't read it yet. I haven't read it, but I have it. I've got it. I've got it on Kindle. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to, after today, I'll definitely read that because the next one I was hoping that we'll be able to discuss will be more of the life of a leader, looking at leadership. That was the idea of what I wanted to see, because I wanted to understand, how you can actually, go into leadership. But, I've I've really learned a lot today, particularly about the mindset. I think some of the things I put out is one, the mindset. Two, of your own opinion about yourself as a pioneer, and not necessarily a pioneer, but as an achiever, and all the sense of being the best. I've looked at also motivation, where you've talked about where motivation comes from, the times when you had to be into God and listen for to God, to go into God when things were getting that you do get afraid, and that sometimes you then go into God, and it's not an excuse or a reason for you not to go forward. And now this one with excuses, that excuses are only pointers to what you need to enlighten yourself to, so you can identify what common excuses are.
So it's not just that I do get afraid, but I do get into a fix as well. I did run into walls. And that's why we have an advantage that I have God. Because naturally, for normal people, when they run into walls, they just have to do studies and study and research and keep on digging deeper. But in my own case, I keep on digging deeper and I'm still not getting a solution, or I might not even know what direction to move in. But then I could also come to God the same way that I did when I was afraid, and come to God and do a solitude and cry to God even every day and say, God, I'm in a fix. I don't have an answer for this. Please help me. And I can, begin to ask him for direction. So that's why it's wonderful to have God in your life. And that's also the reason why I cannot understand why people who say they have God in their lives don't have any achievements.
I
They
think
don't use him. They don't not use him. Maybe that's not the right word. They don't take advantage of the God they have in their life. I mean, that is a huge advantage for me, because I could work like every other person and struggle like every other person, but I have this additional resource just to help me after I have done my best, while I am doing my best. But if I'm not doing my best, at least as good as other people in the world, then I don't even have any right to call on him anyway. But when I've done my best and I reach the wall and I'm at a fix, then I know he's there for me. So I can always supersede and surpass, the natural limitations and the natural, challenges of life.
So could you expand on that part of it in terms of how you do it? Because some people will say, yes, I also, I do solitude, nothing happens, or, or I do solitude and it doesn't look like, after everything, still nothing comes through, What do they do? Is this a skill or some way that you found out of
But everybody must have their own way of working with God. Okay. In my own case, I feel I'm a friend of God. And I feel I walk with God every day. I'm not doing a religious activity of going to church or going to solitude as a religious thing. No, God is my Father, He's my friend, He's my best friend, He's my life. So, I'm not going to Him for results or for help only. I'm working with Him every day.
Is this also mindset?
Yeah. Yep. So if I'm asking him for something he's not giving me and he's not answering me, it means I've not done my part yet, or it means I'm not doing enough. So I keep on doing my own thing that I need to do, what it demands from me, or what the situation demands of me, and I don't bother him too much. But I always rely on him to guide me and lead me every day and be there with me and for me.
So for people who probably don't get as much outcome from making the same steps with God, will that be because of their perception of God, or is it their understanding of how God works, or what would you say could be the differentiator?
Number one, you don't have the right to be demanding that God does something for you if you have not already done your best. You've not studied you have to do everything that depends on you from your side first, before you could now rely on God for something. But it's also good to rely on God as you go on in the process of even searching and studying. But don't expect that God will come and do for you what you are supposed to do for yourself or what God has instructed you to do. Don't be lazy on God. God will not take that. So that's number one. Number two, make sure that God is your best friend at first. Make sure you cultivate a good relationship with him. Then you will not have to worry that he's not answering on his answer. You will know him and you'll be able to understand why he's not answering in some cases.
It's just knowledge, getting to know, how God works and
Knowledge of God, not how God works. It's one thing to know about God, but I'm talking right now about knowledge of him. Knowing his person, being a friend, just like you know me now, and
Yeah.
we could relate. Just the same is relationship.
Yeah. Well, that's important. I think you've really pulled that part. Appears to have really stood out today. Being that need for relationship. I think one of the areas where I know a number of people criticize when I do see criticism, I don't look out for it, but sometimes you just read the comments and it shows up. Is that sense of you're talking about doing things yourself and you don't talk about God at all, like you don't need God. Well, clearly, what you're saying, you actually do practice and need God and have always needed God. And you're saying that God is, a very important part to everything you do. How would you, if you wanted to explain this thing, to people who keep, detracted? Well, I guess you can't explain to those, but for people who are trying to understand, who are probably on the sidelines trying to understand, because they probably haven't just read enough, haven't known enough of you to know why you do the things in terms of the things you do. How do you explain this, who God is or what God should be or the role God plays really, or who God is to them? In this sense of achievement.
Your relationship with God should be the underlining thing in your life. It's not something you should put out there. What you should put out there and what you are supposed to do naturally. So, for example, I don't need to come and tell you how much I'm praying a day. I don't need to be coming here and be praying and be praying. You don't need that. Those are things I'm supposed to do when I'm locked up in my room. Nobody should see that. Those should be the underlining secret of my life, the underlining power. I don't need to make a show of that. But once I've equipped myself in my closest, once I've empowered myself with God, once I've communicated with my Father, have built solid relationship with him, once I come out of that room, the next thing that is expected of me is to manifest. He is with me. Nobody should see him now like me, saying, oh God, are you come? No. We have done that. We have settled it. Now I need to step out and walk on his behalf, speak on his behalf, speak for him, manifest him, be the one acting on the stage. It's not time for me in the public to come and be saying, oh, come down, or, to come and be manifesting and demonstrating that. It's not necessary. Unless I needed to do it to teach other people, or I needed to, do it in a church, in a gathering where I'm teaching and I'm showing other people how to do things. But otherwise, you don't need to push God like that and make God. That is what we call religion. It is religion that wants to, okay, I'm come here, let us pray, oh, God come and do this. No, I've prayed before I come out. I just need to act it out now. I just need to manifest now. I don't know, maybe I didn't answer your question.
No, yeah, I think you did. And you talked about, you said it was expected of you when you have gone into God's presence and you come out. It's expected. Is it your own expectation of yourself, or is it what God expects?
No, what are you doing with God? Whatever you are doing with God there, is for you to be converted into life. Okay, why should you go to God? You cannot just go to God. What did you go there to do? There must be a purpose for everything. I mean, you are here on earth for
not too many.
You are here on earth for a purpose. So how will God, who is in heaven, have you here representing him and his interest, and he's giving you instruction, he's loading you with grace, with knowledge, with power, with glory, then you will not do anything with it. That's why you are here in the first place, to represent him and manifest his will and his purpose. You are representing him. It's just like saying, I sent you, I'm your father, I sent you to England, go and you are my ambassador there. Go and represent my interests. So you come to see me, and I give you strategies. This is what you are supposed to do in England. This is how you are supposed to represent me. This is how you are supposed to represent the kingdom, our father, our home country, our homeland. I give you, those instructions are for you to go there and manifest. But when you get there, you don't begin to say, oh, Father, I've come. Whoa, no. We have done our meeting. You are the one representing me. You have all the instructions. You now act on behalf of your father. You are now the president over there. That is what we do with God. So when you are out of the intimacy with him, go and do what you need to do for his purpose and his will to be carried out through you.
Wow. I think.
And if you run into any fix, then go back to your father. And he will coach you again, and he will let you out to go and manifest.
You speak like it's, this perception is just normal, like it should be. I don't think it is.
I'm going to be surprised if this is strange or if it's not normal.
I think probably is the concept of religion that you said earlier, because religion has a lot of it that has to do with you don't want to do something wrong, or you don't want to do, you don't want to be on the wrong side.
Do your own work. Once you finish doing your own work, that is what what determines that. If you want to avoid mistakes, make sure stay longer in your own workplace. Do your own work, longer period. Perfect your art. Then you would make less mistakes. The same thing, soccer, people who are playing football now, if you want to win the World Cup, go and practice. Go and practice your art. Perfect the art. Then when you go to the stage, you will make less mistakes.
Wow. So you're saying that, it's very clear that you have just, in this today's interview, you've given me the impression that there's no achievement or level of achievement you couldn't really make if it's a goal that you've set, because everything's already there. The resource of knowledge, the hard work, and God, if it becomes, you've done your best and you don't know what to do. And that's all.
I have a phrase that I always say to people who come for training with me, that there are no failures in life. No failures in life. There are only those who either don't know the secret of success. They don't know what to do, the principles of success. Yeah, so everything is possible. But for people who don't know, they will only be thinking life is a mystery. So either people don't know the secrets, the principles, or they are informed, they know, they heard somewhere, but they are not willing to pay the price,
Comes back to cost.
Yes. So those are the only things. Otherwise, there are no failures in life.
So, and when it comes to the cost, that includes, I hope I'm not asking this question that probably you may have answered, but including costs that you are not aware of.
Oh, definitely, especially when you are talking of a pioneer.
Pioneer. Wow. So it's not an imperative. Do you prefer that people should want to be pioneers, or it's not a mandatory thing to be a
Of course,
pioneer?
it's imperative that people don't want to become pioneers.
Yeah, not from personal, but do you have any standards that should require people to want to be pioneers or to be, let's say, achievers?
Achievers.
Let's use achievers.
I think most people should want to be an achiever, only they don't want to pay the price most of the time, or those who are willing to pay the price. Basically they don't want to pay the price, the cost. That's what is born. Most people are discouraged because of the cost. Because if I say you don't know what it takes to become successful, it is no more in this world. In the 21st century where we are right now, lack of knowledge of what it takes to be successful is no more tenable in the age of internet. If you are willing to pay the price, you will definitely find knowledge. Knowledge is the easiest thing available right now.
So all you have to do is to just be willing to pay that price and go out to get it.
Yes, sir.
Wow, I really have a when you speak and you say these things, listening to you really it raises a lot of faith and a lot of encouragement. That it is is possible, or to rethink what we think, what our mindsets in terms of what we think is possible, what is feasible, or what we think, what we previously thought was impossible, that we can actually make a bigger difference or a bigger impact. So really, thank you, sir, for that. For those, for a lot of the things you've said today.
We have overstayed our time.
Have we? Okay. Yes, but it's been so impactful and so encouraging. Would you have anything to say, like that you want to give out to any person who after giving all the discussion you said? Is there anything else or any summary that you would like to give to that, to what you need to do to be an achiever? Or would you say you've actually exhausted everything that is necessary to know?
No, just need to say no excuse. Everybody that wants to become anything could become anything. Even if you just read my books alone and listen to my messages alone, I mean, no excuse for anybody. Just with Sunday Adelaja being alive, there is nobody that has an excuse. Because I've provided so much materials, either it's video, audio, books. Nobody should have an excuse anymore, unless they are lazy.
So the excuses, we should turn them to areas to develop, areas for development, and therefore action.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Let me find out if there are people who might want to call to the program.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So hello everyone. If you want to call to this program, please go ahead and look for Move Agents on Facebook Messenger. Go to Facebook Messenger and look for Move Agents. So if you find Move Agents, then you should write that you want to call to the program. So Move Agents and then call to the program. So we'll be happy to receive your call. You don't call directly, you just send us a message that I want to call, or you send us a text that I want to call to the program. So we will then call you back. So go to Facebook Messenger, look for Move Agents, and then we will call you back. And when you just write us and send us SMS or text message that you want to call. Meanwhile, concerning all the things we are discussing today, look at this book here. Where are the heroes? Let heroes arise. This book alone is capable of just turning your life upside down, just changing everything about you. So look for this book. Where are the heroes? Let heroes arise. Then there is another book we have here that I just released. Is Ladies, Forget About Marriage, Build Your Life. That's our latest release. You can find that also on Amazon. And or if you are in Nigeria, you could get them on DSA Books Planet. One word, dsabooksplanet.com. You sure kakata kninga yesta? Okay. So I think, do we have a caller? Okay, I think we have a caller or two, so let's see if they are here already.
Yeah, hello, good evening, DSA.
Hello, my sister. Who is this? Is that
Mr. Ben.
Ofoma?
Yes, sir.
Yes. How are you, my dear sister?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. Wow. I don't know if I should be speaking. I think words are kind of failing me right now, but this has just been a very deep and awesome session. Thank you, Mr. Ben. You are
Yeah, it's
like
thanks to
question
Mr.
machine,
Ben. Mr. Ben is the secret for the reason for
Yeah,
the.
you are really drawing things out of DSA, and it's just amazing. It's really
He
amazing.
is the reason for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Thanks to him.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Ben. And I think I was saying in the comment, section that DSA is just like, it's either you love him or you hate him, but you cannot be indifferent. And I think the thing with a lot of people is that, there is so much depth to you that they don't even take the time to understand the kind of person that you are. And learning about you every day it just blows my mind away. It's just very challenging, and it also makes me sad at what religion has done to us. Because from everything that we have been saying, it still boils down to the kind of mindset that we have. Is the mindset that does not strive for achievement, does not strive for excellence, does not strive, to actually be the best. And to think that with you, it amazes me all the time when you quote that scripture that your sister told you, and to think that with that scripture, you made it a foundation of your life to be intense and to be the best in whatever you do. From where I'm coming from in Nigeria, people don't pay attention to it. It's like, just do it anyhow. And I bet just do it. Just anything goes. People don't pay attention even the service that we render. We don't even pay attention to it. Not to talk of thinking of achieving anything. And it's a very terrible mindset because it's reflected in the whole society where nothing works. Nothing works, and even like what you were saying, even the best people, the intelligent people, because they don't have the mindset to be the best. With all their intelligence, with everything is still mediocre. And it robs us of a lot of things in the society. It robs us, of the excellence that we're supposed to see around us. And that God is an excellent God, and we should see that beauty displayed in every, like you are saying, even if you are a cleaner, even if you are a taxi driver, wherever you are, we should see that excellent spirit. But the religion has made us, so irresponsible that the average Nigerian is like, just do it anyhow, and it's such a shame. It's such a shame. I've learned so much today. I'm like, wow, I'm talking about that relationship with God. And I think Ben was right when he pointed that out, because a lot of people, they criticize the DSA and say, oh, DSA does not know God. He doesn't pray. He doesn't. It's laughable, but what can we do without him? If you are, like you say, if we have that intimate relationship with God, it must produce fruits. There must be a conception. Intimacy is not something you display publicly. So why will I be trying to prove anything to you by coming publicly to display my private life with you? It's not something. It's the fruit that will come out. It's the fruits it's the pregnancy that will come out and manifest. That you will see.
Beautiful.
That is what you will see, and that is what you can talk about. Not what the kind of intimacy I'm having with my God. That's not what you need to see. Thank you so much, DSA, and I want to appreciate Mr. Ben again for such an awesome time.
It's good. We are going to be coming with him every 2 weeks with Mr. Ben.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for brilliant contribution. Very grateful.
God bless you.
Yep. Okay, that is Mrs. Mfoma from England. And I don't know, do we still have any other caller? Okay, we still have other callers there. Okay, so Mr. Ben, while we are waiting for the next caller, anything you want to say? I don't know if you heard what she was saying. Hello? Oh, sorry. I think, can you, yeah. What did you say? Okay, I couldn't. Anyway, you go ahead and talk because I'm not hearing you. We have some technical challenge here, but go ahead and talk. Yes.
To take a question. Yes, I think I heard it.
Sorry, what did you say?
Great. Okay. So I was just saying that what she said was really everything. Really, she really summarized it so well. I had to listen on my phone, or I connected YouTube, so I listened just to I put the volume low so I could hear. A question that I probably didn't ask you was, how do you raise children to be achievers? How is your way of? Is it possible to have to raise children to be achievers?
Yes, that's a whole
That's a whole
different topic.
topic.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, I see. I see. Because it's
I have a whole book on that anyway.
okay.
It's how to form core values in your child. So you can look for that book. I put the whole process inside, and
Yeah.
how to be the best friend of your child. So how to form core values in your child is one of case, and yeah, and how to build the best relationship, how to be the best friend of your child.
Yeah.
I think we have a
Hello?
caller. I think we have a caller now. Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Yes. Who is calling, please?
Dear sir, this is Mabel Chinwe from California.
Mabel, it's been a while. Can you speak directly into the speaker, please?
I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Dear sir, it cannot be a while. I'm here.
Okay.
I am not going away. I am here. I'm not moving an inch. Hello?
Yes.
Okay. My sister, my beloved sister Ufoma, just took the word out of my mouth. She took what I wanted to say. Because you've been accused several times of not praying. What are they going to say now? What is that person going to say now? It's an intimacy thing. Discuss with your father. Come out and act. It's as simple as that. What are they going to say now? You're an ambassador somewhere and you keep calling the president down home. What am I going to do? Then you're a disgrace to that president that sent you out. You are a disgrace. You're not supposed to occupy that position. So, hooray! Keep rocking, DSA. Keep shining. Keep devouring the words of the Father that sent you. You are just what you are. There is no going back. Thank you so much for making your father proud. I am so proud of you. You just make God so real. Every day you bring him close to our room, close even into our bedrooms. What else can I tell you? Thank you so much for making your father proud. You are a great ambassador, and you are breeding ambassadors here and there. I can't agree less with you, Ufoma. Ufoma has said it all. DSA, you are who you are. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, DSA. Let me stop here for now.
Thank you
I can't but love you the more. The more you speak the word of your father. Nobody can take it away from you. Thank you so much, my beloved mentor. Blessings.
Thank you so very much, my dear Mabel. Beautiful. Well said. Well, yeah, I didn't even need to say this today about prayers because I already did a series on prayers. For people who care to know, they would have heard it. They would have gone through the series and they would have found that out by themselves. So I have a whole series on my YouTube page there. It's called, prayer series, prayer, healing, deliverance series. So for people who wish to know what is my attitude about praying publicly on YouTube, on Facebook, and on, coming to pray and in tongues.
Hello?
Hello? Wish to know what is my attitude about praying. Who is calling, please? On Facebook
Oh, this is Chika Kati, DSA.
You need to put off your Facebook or YouTube.
I'll put it up now.
Okay, now I hear you, man.
This is Chika
Good,
Kati.
good evening. Nice to hear from you.
Yeah, DSA. God bless you and God bless Ben. You know, that man is like a questioning machine.
Yes.
I've been listening and I was left off, and when I come back again, he's still answering you a question. And you just said something that struck my heart. I've been talking about I've been telling the people that are following me that prayer is assessing the heart of God. That prayer will not make you a millionaire, but prayer is assessing the heart of God. And you just said something about prayer and that struck my heart. Even the way you explained it, you know, like I used to tell my followers, people that come to my platform every morning, I said, you don't need to come to my platform every morning. I don't know why I'm standing here every morning. You know, as a child of God, you need to pray, but you don't need to go to church every day. You don't need to go to church from Sunday to Sunday. Like last week, I met somebody from my former church, and she was asking me. She said, "You said you are no longer going to church, and every morning we see you do church. You come out and you pray and you do." I said, "No, I don't know why God is making me to come out to do that. I am coming out to do that by administration. That is the way, the burden I have in my heart, because I believe that some Christians don't pray in their closet. You know, I tell the people that come around us, you don't need to come online, but I am standing here just to be an example. It's going to 2 years now I stopped going to church, but that having a relationship with God is still in my heart. You know, I still want to, you know, like, inside me, because you see Christians, they go to church and they dupe people. People are crying. They steal people's money. You do business with them, they dupe you. And when you call them, there are one example I have last week. A Christian duped me, and whenever I call him, he said, "I'm in the camp." Whenever I call him, "I'm in the church." And these are Christians. They go to church for what they feel God can give to them. If they don't know God, and they don't know what God is all about. You know, so I just call him. I'm not used to calling him, but I just call him because you explain this thing the way I've been struggling with it in my heart. It's knowing God is a personal thing. You know, it's a personal thing, and every Christian must try to have that relationship with God. Because I realize that most of the Christians don't have a relationship with God. When you hear them speak, they don't manifest God. When you hear them make a write-up, they don't manifest God. You know, being a Christian is a personal thing. It's an inside thing, you know. That is the reason why I say, let me just call. Yes, God bless you for the way, because the way your explanation made it clearer to me now, why even I have that burden every morning to come out.
Beautiful.
Like every morning, like 4 o'clock, it's 4:30, you see me, I'm awake, and the people like, go out there. I don't go to church any longer. It's not that I don't love God, but I believe I have come to realize that going to church is not knowing God.
Beautiful,
You know?
beautiful. Thank you so very much for calling today. Very great contribution.
Thank you, God bless you.
You too, man.
Bye.
Okay. I think that will be it for today, because I need to come back in the next 10 minutes to continue my series on service and stewardship. Let's go to Ben, and what will Ben have to say in conclusion before we go today? Ben, what will you have to say in conclusion?
Wow, what I would love to say is, thank you for sharing your mind and sharing your methods, and, not keeping them as secrets, but really putting things out there just the way you think, and, looking at different, starting from your youth, coming with your story. It's really good. It's it's enlightening. It's enlightening and encouraging. And also, I guess the biggest thing that we got today is to take that faith and, the presence of God, and, take advantage of everything, to be useful, to look for excuses that are bigger than ourselves. And there's problems that are out there that are bigger than ourselves, needs that are out there bigger than ourselves, that we feel in our hearts that we need that should we have a passion for, that we have a direction for God to do something about, and we should go out there to do the best and to be the best, to have the mindset of being the best and therefore being an achiever. So just to say thank you for another opportunity to learn and to learn from what you know. Thank you very much.
Well, we'll see you in a fortnight.
Yes.
And I'm sure people will also be looking forward to gaining from your wisdom and all your heart drilling questions.
From my questions and your wisdom. That's what it is.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
now.
thank you too.
Have a wonderful day. Greetings to the family.
You too, sir.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so here we are. And so I want to say thank you so much for everyone for being with us today. This is the third episode of this program, The Mind and Methods of DSA. And we'll be back with you in a fortnight. And I will be back in the next 10-15 minutes to continue the series we have been doing on service and stewardship. Thank you so much. Peace.